What's up, guys? Welcome to Gameplays. My name is Sam, and welcome to another episode of our 7 Wonders of the Wasteland. Now, for this episode, I'm going to be taking you through a brief tour of the Pip-Boy. So, as you can see, we've still got the same character from when we started. He's looking pretty roughed up, but he's sporting a pretty cool postman's hat and some funky new gear. So let me just get out of this conversation with Mr. Rodriguez here, and let us open up the Pip-Boy. So you open up the Pip-Boy just by pressing B or circle, depending on your console of choice. So what the Pip-Boy does is it literally helps you through the game. So it is essential to completing quests, grabbing new gear, and amongst some other things as well, which I will mention as we go on. So first thing to look at, if we look at our stats, we can see an overall depiction of what our character currently is. So we've got weapon damage, armor, and radiation resistance. So this is a good thing to refer to if you want to see how strong, how well defended your character is. That's a pretty basic overview of your status. So if we move on to your specific stats, which as Bethesda like to say, this is what makes you special. Each stat is a different attribute to your character. So if I quickly run through them for you, so we've got strength. Basically, it's a measure of your raw physical power. Basically, it affects how much you can carry and the damage of your physical melee attacks. So the more you increase this, the more powerful you become. And if you just want to go through the game and be a strong man, you can. That's the good thing about Fallout. You can build your character the way you want it, the way you see fit. Next up, perception. This is basically your sixth sense. You have what's called VATS. So what this stat does is increases your weapon accuracy in that particular field of view. So when you open up your VATS when you're in combat, it takes you into a slow-mo view, and you can select different body parts of the enemy that you're fighting, and increase this, and it will increase the accuracy for each different body part that you want to target. So if you want to be a crack shot, you really need to increase this stat. Next up, we got endurance. This is a measure of your overall physical fitness. So this affects how much you can sprint and your total health. So the more you increase this, the further you can run in quick succession. So if you're in a dire situation and you need to get away from an enemy, you can literally turn around and sprint as far away as you can. So increase the stat, and that will last for longer. The next stat you want to look at is charisma. So this is basically your ability to charm and convince others. So in some specific dialogues that you come across, you will get the option to choose a response that will affect the answer of the person on the other end of the conversation. And these are displayed in a different color to the standard responses that you get. So you will get a darker amber if the response that you choose is going to be less effective, and the lighter that response gets is an indicator of how well and how easy that's going to convince the other person that you're talking to. Also affects your prices in shops as well. So the higher this stat, the lower your prices will be when buying weapons, food, etc. So moving on to intelligence, this basically affects how much experience points you gain from quests, killing enemies, hacking terminals, picking locks. So the higher this stat, the more XP you'll get. It's good to have if you just want to try and level up as quickly as possible, because the more you level up, the more stats you can increase. So it's a smart move to increase this stat early on. It's personally what I've done on my character at home, but we've got a bit of an all-rounder here at game. So moving on, if we go to agility, this affects the number of action points in VATS. So when you're targeting a certain enemy, each shot will take off a certain amount of action points. So the higher the stat, the more shots you can take whilst in VATS, and the more powerful you'll be. So it's a good stat to have. They're all good stats to have, to be honest with you, but it just depends on how you want your character, how you want to play the game, and what you want your character to be like. So the last stat is luck. It's basically is a measure of your general good fortune, as it says, and affects the recharge rate of your critical hits. Now, your critical hits are displayed, your critical hit bar is displayed in your VATS, so when you're in combat, you need to take a certain amount of shots to fill that bar up. And the higher this stat, the less shots it's going to take, and then you can execute as many critical hits as you possibly can, which do increase damage. So it's really good for if you're in a boss battle or if you're fighting a legendary enemy. It's really good to be able to get that critical hit as quickly as you can. So if I quickly move on to perks, we have here a couple of perks assigned to this character, and we've got Junktown Vendor and Scrapper. So basically, if I come out of the Pip-Boy and go to the perk chart, this is what you'll view when you're leveling up, and you can increase your main stats, but you can also add perks. Now, to unlock these perks, you need to be either a certain level or have the main stats at a certain point. So let's have a look at Lady Killer, for example. So this requires Charisma 2, so you'd need this with 2 stars to be able to unlock that. So for this perk, let's read the description there. So you're charming and dangerous. Women suffer plus 5% damage in combat and are easier to persuade in dialogue. So get that stat, you're going to do more damage to women, and you're going to be able to persuade them easier when you get those options. And then you can actually have a look at what the next ranks do. So for this, we need to be level 7 and also have Charisma 2. And then that increases that damage increase to 10% and increases the dialogue persuasion. So, which is pretty cool. And this one also adds another perk on top of that. So they're all different, but it's just another sign that you can create your character exactly how you want it. So let's go back to the Pip-Boy, and let's quickly move on to our inventory. So in the inventory we have all your items, weapons, equipment, any sort of consumables that you might be carrying. Let's first look at weapons. So this is where you'll see all the weapons that you carry, and on the right hand side of your Pip-Boy you can see each weapon carries certain stats. So you'll see how much damage your weapon can do, its fire rate, the range of the shots that you fire, accuracy, all those sorts of things. Weight as well, so you can see how much it's gonna weigh you down. And one of the cool things about the equipment is you can favorite stuff. So if you look at the double barrel shotgun here, you can see it's got the little heart next to it. So in order to do that, depending on which console you're playing on, you either hit RB or R1, and it brings up this little little diagram, and you basically assign it to whichever slot you want. So in this case we've got it assigned to the left, to the first left slot. What this does is it assigns it to the D-pad, so when you're in combat you can literally change weapons on the fly without having to access the Pip-Boy. So it makes it really good for those tight-knit situations where you might run out of ammo and you need to quickly change weapons in order to defeat your enemies. So that's pretty much the gist of weapons. It's pretty simple: damage, accuracy, range, done. So let's move on to equipment. So apparel, this is where all your clothes, armor, all that sort of stuff is stored. All your hats, you can see we've got a nice postman's hat, as you saw earlier. Each piece of equipment is the same as weapons, so you'll have things like damage resistance, radiation resistance, and other things like this postman's hat will increase certain perks. So certain stats like endurance, agility, you'll find all of these scattered throughout the Wasteland as you're playing through Fallout 4. So again, really simple, fairly easy and intuitive to use. So let's have a look at aid next. This is where your consumables are, so medicinal items, any sort of buffering items, you can consume them from here. You can also favourite these items as well. So if you're running low on health in a combat situation, you could quickly have your crispy squirrel bits assigned to one of your D-pad slots. Quickly eat it, restore some health. Now, one of the things you want to watch out for with consumable items is radiation poisoning. So each item that you find, each consumable that you find on the field will restore some health, but it will also give you radiation poisoning. Now, the more radiation poisoning you get, the less full health you can have. So when that increases, if your radiation fills your entire health bar, you're gonna die. And if you get into combat and you've got like your maximum health is like 10, you're not gonna make it. So that's something to watch out for. But if you have prepared food like crispy squirrel bits, these items will not give you radiation poisoning. So you will find cooking stations throughout, and you can, depending on the amount of food that you have, you can prepare proper meals, and they'll give you more health, and they won't give you any radiation poisoning whatsoever. So again, that's something to watch out for. And you will find items such as Jet, Med-X, Mentats, which will increase your other stats. So Mentats increase your intelligence and your perception for a certain duration of time. Med-X gives you damage resistance for 25 seconds. So there are all these different items that will affect your character in different ways that can help you in different situations, conversational situations as well as combat. So it's really cool. Miscellaneous items, here you'll find literally self-explanatory, your miscellaneous items. Not necessarily usable all the time, but you'll get keys, magazines, your bobbleheads, which these actually increase some of your perks as well. Each bobblehead you get will increase a specific perk by a significant amount. So perception, this one might increase by 25%, for example. You get things like bobby pins, which help you pick locks. So you need these if you're hunting around and you find little lock boxes, storage boxes, locked doors that need to be unlocked. But that also depends on your level of lock-picking skill. So the higher that is, the more locks you're going to be able to access. So then you've got junk, which is essentially junk. So all of these items can contribute to building stuff, but a lot of the time you're just going to want to sell this stuff to different vendors throughout the Commonwealth. So you can see here we've got cigarettes, which aren't very valuable at all. I would have thought they would be in a post-apocalyptic world. Cigar box, you're going to get 40 bottle caps for that, which is a pretty nice sum. You can see we're only carrying 228 at the moment. So when you put it into perspective, when you find a doctor and you want him to heal you, it's going to cost you around 35 to 40 bottle caps. So that's definitely something to think about again. We've got mods as well, but we will look at mods in a future episode. So I won't delve into that too much, but you can modify your weapons to give you extra stats, extra perks, make them more powerful. And last in the inventory is ammo. Ammo is literally self-explanatory. It's where you find all your bullets. for all your different types of guns, and each gun that you find will tell you what ammo it takes. So let's move on to data. So if we go back to quests here, so quests, this is where you find all the quests that you currently assigned, main quests, side quests, and you have miscellaneous tasks as well. So you can select more than one if you want to, but when you're starting out you might want to just stick to following one quest at a time until you're a bit more confident with where you're going. Miscellaneous tasks are always good to get for getting extra XP, but yeah, that is pretty much how you manage your quests. You'll also see workshops. You'll find workshops scattered throughout the Wasteland. Each settlement that you build will have workshops that you can craft in, craft weapons, build furniture for your settlements, make new weapons, make chemicals, and cooking stations as well. Lastly, in data, you've got stats. So this is where you find literally everything that you do throughout Fallout 4. So locations discovered, how many days you've slept, how many hours you've waited, how many bottle caps you found, chests looted. It's quite in depth. So if you want to know something about your adventure, come into the Pip-Boy, come into the data and into stats. You'll find how many criminal activities you've carried out, items stolen, computers hacked, locks picked. It's really cool, really cool. Let's move on to map. This is probably the easiest one to look at. So you've got the whole Wasteland to look at. You can see the locations you've discovered throughout. So you can see we've played for a few hours, so we haven't discovered every location yet. But you can see we've got a few up here. You can see where your power, things like your power armor are kept. But yeah, you can look at all the locations you've discovered, and you can also fast travel. So if you don't want to spend all your time running through the Wasteland, you can literally select a location. If you've discovered it, fast travel to it, get a quick loading screen, bam, you're there. So last but not least is probably my favourite part of the Pip-Boy, the radio. So here you will find different radio stations, classical radio, Diamond City radio. These two are defaults when you first start the game, but you also get radio frequencies that are related to quests as well. So if you see a indicator on the screen that says you found a frequency, you might want to check it out because you'll probably be starting a brand new quest line. So my favourite radio station on this has got to be Diamond City Radio. I often find myself singing along to the little songs on here, and it's just really cool. So I'll pop that on just to finish up and let you hear some of the weird and wacky tunes. Cool, so that wraps up episode 2 of our 7 Wonders of the Wasteland. Stay tuned for part 3, and we'll have more gameplays coming to you soon.